Hello, Wizarders! It's time to shock our way to victory with Shockspitter Arcane Hunter. The idea behind this is Shockspitter exists in the same format as Star Shooter. Star Shooter allows us to get additional arcane spells that we can easily buff up with all the arcane synergy within standard, and then we can slam down Shockspitter to do 10 plus damage each hit. We can also, if we really want to get spicy, slam down Thaddius in combination with 4 Shockspitters, which will end most games. However, most of the time you're probably just going to want to run Yogg-Saron over Thaddius, but this was funny, so I wanted to include him anyways. Alright, now for the Mulligan guide. Any of the 1-cost cards are incredibly strong. Candle Shot is great to interact with your opponent's board. Awakening Tremors allows you to swarm the board. Then for 2-cost cards, Hidden Meaning is incredibly strong, so is Selective Breeder. If you have a lot of arcane spells, Silver Moon is great to keep, so is Titanforge Traps or Watcher of the Sun, just so you can get your Ignis online quickly. You never want to keep Shockspitter in your starting hand because you do want to get additional copies off of things like Selective Breeder. Now with that all being said, let's look at some games. Okay, time for a game against Rogue. I'm assuming this is going to be Excavating Rogue, since that seems to be the only Rogue deck that floats around right about now. We're going to keep the 2 costs, get rid of the others. Ooh, actually that makes our curve really nice. Now if we could only get a 3 cost for turn 3, or maybe another 1 cost, I wouldn't mind that either. Okay, slam this down, then go face, and then pass it back. We only have one thing to buff up with the 2 costs, so we're probably going to keep it in hand until we get at least one other spell. I really don't want to slam down the portals and that's the only thing that we have in our hand, right? And I don't think we're in a position where we are too worried about that. Yeah, let's just slam down Renathol. Not the best turn 3 play, but it is a nice turn 3 play, just because they probably don't have 4. Well, I mean, they do have the 1 attack on the weapon, so they might actually hit into our Renathol, but it looks like they're just going to go face, then use Illusionist. Now if we can top deck a weapon ourselves, ooh, star power, we're going to use this now. This does prevent them from getting the quick draw effect on Drilly, which is good for us. Speaking of Drilly, they slam it down. I think it's the time we get a drilling on them and not the opposite way around, though. Let's see what we can grab. Let's grab Portal, and then we can buff it up once again to make it a 12-12, essentially. Get rid of our Drilly friend, and then make them burn a card. Oh, wait. They're excavating Mech Rogue? What? Well, that's not a deck that I was expecting to see right now. Again, another tribal synergy that I've been meaning to go back to. I just haven't remembered to do anything with it, to be honest. Okay, I think we're going to grab the Taunt, which might be a mistake. Might have wanted to grab the draw power because we do kind of suffer from a lack of draw power in this deck. That's the one thing I will say. This deck does feel like it has a little bit too, or not enough draw power, and I don't know what you'd cut to make more draw power outside of weapons, and I don't want to cut out weapons because, you know, weapons are the entire idea behind this deck, and yeah. Alright, so star power feels so bad to use here, just because I know my luck on minions. We could also slam down the portal and then clear out a few minions there. That actually might be the better plan. But I think we're going to go with star power. Of course, the big hits get eaten by the 1 drop with the Divine Shield. Let's just go face. We're going to try to get as much face damage in as humanly possible. Okay. They're swarming the board. At least we have 3 on the portal, which is good. Oh, Shockspitter. As long as we don't draw into the other one. I really do want to get a game where we're going to use, or the game plan of this deck, and the original reason why I wanted to draw this out is, in most cases, if you keep attacking each individual turn with your hero, Shockspitter scales up really quickly, and because Shockspitter is a 4-cost card, I wanted to try to replicate the old Shockspitter brand combos from back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean before the last rotation and before it got nerfed into Oblivion. where we're using Thaddius as the enabler this time around, just because I wanted to prove that we could maybe do it with Thaddius. But I will say the testing I've done in both rounds, this round after all the most recent balance changes and before the last set of balance changes, I will just say this, it did not, Thaddius never came up. Like, most of the time, you're going to burn your opponent before you can even get to turn 11. But I guess that also is probably because it's a 40 card deck, and if I wanted to be more consistent with the Thaddius combo, I'd make it 30. But then we'd have so many weapons in the deck that it becomes less consistent there, so I don't know. All right, I I don't know how we win this game. The 2 trapdoor spiders is a little bit worrisome. Oh, that's interesting. That is a very interesting, actually. We can go face. And then we're going to want to get rid of this minion. And then we can slam down this, do 9 to face. Wait, did I just calculate lethal? Is this it? Did we find the one out, the one way? Oh, a barrel of fun this game has been, and it's a GG. Okay, time for a game against Warlock. Let's see what they have in store for us. This might be actually a Thaddius versus Thaddius match, which would be funny. I know Thaddius in this list doesn't really matter too much, and there are some other Thaddius lists that I really want to try to brew up in the next week or two. Honestly, he's probably one of my favorite cards. There's been actually, while I've done a lot with Thaddius, I haven't done one of every individual class, and I really kind of want to do that. So we'll see. I'm thinking DK is the next one. Oh, Thaddius this early is not something I want to see. Yeah, so if I remember right, we're missing, weirdly, I don't think I've ever done something with Thaddius and Warlock, but we're missing DK, we're missing Druid, I think, on the channel. Actually, maybe not Druid. I'd have to look at the old decks that we have. We are being a little bit greedy with the selected breeder, but this does seem to be a slower match. Also, Arcane Quiver is one of those cards that isn't technically the best in the world, but it does let us draw. We could go for the second Arcane Quiver. It doesn't stack, sadly, on itself. It would be cool if it did, but it doesn't. Star Power. Let's forge the Watcher just in case we see Ignis. Oh no, we do have a Druid deck. I can't believe I forgot I just did Druid. So we have DK is definitely a class that we haven't done anything with Thaddius in. Hunter we've done once before, but we're doing it now. Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter I haven't done anything with Thaddius. That's actually kind of interesting. I don't know what you do with Thaddius and Demon Hunter is the problem. Oh wait, no we did. Yeah, because we have going down swinging OTK. I forgot about that one. Mage. Mage is something that we're missing. Now, that is a class that I don't know what we do. We're just going to buff this up. Sorry, got a little bit distracted thinking about what we could possibly do and what we haven't done in the past yet. So actually, we're only missing 2 classes for that. Looking back, we're only missing Mage and DK. DK, I have an idea. I don't know how strong that idea is, but I have an idea. It's a twist on excavating DK, to be honest. Okay, Forge of Wills. So the good news is this is excavating Warlock and not Sludge Warlock, which makes our life a little bit easier. We want to draw additional cards. Going to grab another Shockspitter because we're so close to the combo. We're really close to the combo. We just need to draw into the other Shockspitter now, which this is a 40 card deck, so that isn't always the easiest thing to do. Let's slam down Hidden Meaning so we don't accidentally... Oh, perfect. Now we just gotta survive. Okay, that probably means that they're going to get rid of our Agrimar, but we do have the 2 things that we want most from the weapon anyways. We can slam down... We're burning the card, but it doesn't really matter what we burn, to be honest. We have everything we want in hand for perfect combo. Let's slam this down, heal a little bit, see what we get. I was hoping for some additional removal, but this works too, I guess. And we'll just bop everything off of the board. Does not get rid of this 7-1. We could go face. The fact that we have this setup, but we're probably not going to make it till turn 10. We're in such a good position right now, too. Okay. Oh, you know what's funny about Doomkin here? Doomkin actually helps us. That sounds really, really strange to say, but it actually does for one reason and one reason alone. It means by the time we get to 10 mana, then Thaddius will be back to being even cost at 10 instead of being even at 11. Again, like, we could finish off the game, but we're so close, and I don't see a world where they come back from this. And even if they do heal a bunch from all the curses and such, we have so much damage that we should just be able to wombo combo them out of the game. If this was Sludge, I would be afraid, but they're not, so I'm not as afraid as I probably should be. Okay. Sure, wipe out your board. I really don't care. Come on. Yes, do it. Okay, look. We're going to BM them a lot here. Like, we shouldn't do this, but it's going to be funny as hell. We're going to shock them straight out of this game. Behold, my monstrosity of a combo. Hit once on their face, hit ourselves for 2. Because we can, and shock them straight out of this game. GG. Okay, time for a game against Warrior. Let's see what they have in store for us. Probably going to be some version of Control Warrior, if I had to guess. Shockspitter isn't technically something I want to see in the opener. Prince Renethil really isn't something I want to see either. We want to get Shockspitter off of Selected Breeder. That's our underlying goal, maybe to get 4 of them to use Thaddius. Though in the final version, we may or may not cut out Thaddius. I don't think he's come up a single time, and you could easily just replace him with something like Yogg instead. We'll see, though. We'll see. You all know more by me than at this point, since I'm doing this part first. Okay, so they do have some rifts. There's been a lot of warrior decks that I've been, like, maybe a little bit interested in trying out. I just haven't gotten around to it. I know... Oh, let's grab Shockspitter because we have the other beast in hand. Also worth mentioning, if we had more room, Hollow Town would probably be in this list, but we don't. Later on, I think I added Watcher of the Sun over Hat Trick. Makes the 1-drop a little less consistent, but it does give you a little bit more consistency on Ignis, and that actually is a lot more important with this deck. Let's go for Starve Power. I don't think we'll need it yet, but Warrior does have a tendency to slam down a bunch of really, really big minions, and I could see a world where we do. They're actually running from the depths. Oh, okay. That's not something I'd expected to see anytime soon. Okay, go face, slam down our weapon, hero power, and then hit with the weapon. We're just trying to get the Shockspitter bigger and bigger. Okay, Bridge Rift, and that lets them draw in our card. That is actually a pretty cool, like, little resource engine that you can make use of. Though, I don't really want to use one of the star powers on this. We probably will use the star power that hasn't been buffed up at all. Because we should still be fine, right? Yeah, let's use star power. Let's power our way to victory here. Of course. Of course, it had to be left up with 1 HP. Okay. Let's coin out this minion. We might as well do it like this. Of course. I mean, that's really the only removal that they could have used. No, there were other things. They could have used something like Shield Slam and such. I'm really curious of what their main game plan here is. I kind of want the draw power, to be honest. I don't really care if we have to worry about Agrimar really dying. We just need to draw through our deck a little bit more. Of course. Not really the best card to get. The second one of those. The second trial by fire. And I am not feeling the burn today, please. Oh, I also guess because of the version that we're running. Yeah, grab the second Shockspitter. We're just going to keep going face. Hopefully we get something good. Okay, so we are still using Hat Trick in this version. Sometimes I forget what cards and which version of the list that I'm actually playing when I do these replays, because I do test a lot with a lot of these decks, and oh, of course. Why is Warrior running Yogg? I've been meaning to go back to Yogg since he's been nerfed, but I don't know what class he would fit best in. I would want to do it in a class with a bunch of tendrils, but given a lot of the recent buffs, I don't know, maybe a tendril deck just won't function that well. It is also worth mentioning that I don't know, Tendril Shaman could be fun, but I wish it had a little bit more additional death rattle support to make it a little bit easier to use. There might be some hidden deck there. Might be something to try out this weekend. You never know. I mean, okay, so how much damage do we have on board? We do need to get rid of Odin. I don't really want to get rid of Odin, but we do. Oh, that changes plans a little bit, because that summons 2 copies. We can slam this down, hopefully. Yeah, ricochet shot, just what we wanted to see. And now we can ricochet Odin out of this game. Next turn, we'll probably slam down the 5-cost weapon. I know originally it's a 6-cost weapon. And I know it's a little bit less consistent in the later versions, but it still feels nice to have another additional weapon in the deck that's centered around attacking a bunch. Though I do kind of wish Hunter had a draw power weapon. That would be really, really nice. Could also use Harpoon Gun over it, I guess, too, if we want to lower the curve a little bit. But having the additional 5 damage can actually do a lot in some games here and there. As long, and this is a big as long as they don't have a way to gain 13 armor, we're fine. Slamming down Renethal, just to see if we can get additional stats or damage online. You never know, we might be able to pull it off. If they don't put down a giant taunt, we also have 5 damage to go face. I'm curious if they're going to go for a 5-cost weapon or a 1-cost weapon here. I'd assume they'd probably go for the 5-cost weapon, but if they're misplaying a little bit, they probably might even go for a 10-cost weapon, which probably isn't the smartest idea, but we'll see. We'll see how smart they are. Okay, are they actually going after Renethal? I mean, it's free damage on board. I get why you would want to maybe remove it, but like, okay, they're going to take the damage anyways. All right, we need to calculate this well. Okay, ricochet shot. So we have 5 damage on board. The Shockspitters, I think, are up to 12. Oh, shit, we have lethal. Well, that's a GG. Because we just pop these down and shock them straight out of this game. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck. So, I played around 40 games with this deck, and I had a 60% win rate, which was much higher than I originally expected. I will say, as I mentioned before, the Thaddius combo probably is a bit overkill within the deck, which means you probably would be better off using something like Yogg-Saron Unleashed in the deck instead, but I really wanted to try to push our limits with this card before he rotates out or gets nerfed once again. Overall, though, I will say this deck felt incredibly strong and is an easy recommendation for you all to try out. It seems to be a hidden gem in the current Hearthstone meta. Now, with that all being said, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.